shine. Come see Trendy Ned today. Your bong hits will come true. Yay! Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Nay's neighborhood today, and today we're going to be exposing Jimmy Dore for the hypocrite he is. Because when Jimmy Dore gets somebody on his show that he disagrees with, as a courtesy to that person, he won't call them on their bullshit. So he will literally just let people come in there and railroad his narrative. Yeah, how many times have you heard from someone like Jimmy Dore that it's very important that we get billionaires to pay their fair share in taxes, and stop assaulting the middle class by raising their taxes and their expenses? Can these guys with these big grins, these big toothy grins on their faces, these billionaires, can't they pay their fair share too? I've always thought so. But they have this little narrative. These billionaires claim that, if you make us pay more taxes, you're not going to get as much revenue. Oh, well, we all know that's bullshit. My mother explained it to me this morning in very certain terms, I should say, in no uncertain terms. She was like, these billionaires know they could definitely help out, and they decide not to because they're fucking greedy. And she's got it. She's nailed it. Anyway, look how happy. Everybody's all smiley. I don't mean to come down hard on Jimmy Dore for this. I appreciate that he has people like Peter Schiff on, because I learned from everybody that he has on his show, except for morons like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or Dr. I don't even know if he's a doctor, Robert Malone or John Campbell. Sometimes I don't learn a thing. He'll have someone like... he'll talk to people that are biased, that don't base their opinions on facts, and sometimes he just sits there and he lets them say whatever they want, and he doesn't challenge them. He had some other people on, and when he had the guy on from the Boogaloo Boys, I appreciated that interview because I didn't know anything about them. So I appreciated it. A lot of people jumped on Jimmy for that. I didn't. I don't say that he's giving those people a platform. That's not my problem. Platform whoever you want. Give them the voice that you want. Give a billionaire a million people to hear his voice. That's fine. All I'm saying, Jimmy, is push back a little bit, buddy. That's all I'm saying. Be Jimmy Dore for 10 seconds. Don't be this guy. Okay? Watch this. Don't be this guy. Let me make sure my audio is on.
The one thing they don't want to do is tell the truth to the American public. See, that's the thing. The politicians don't want to, fess up to how badly they screwed up over the years, because they've screwed up, big time. Right. We're in a lot of trouble. But Biden doesn't want to level with the American public and say, look, we have got an enormous government. We have all these entitlements, and they cost a lot of money. And you, the voter, you need to pay for this stuff. You can't.
Yeah, why should a billionaire have to pay for entitlements? They don't need entitlements. They're entitled already. Do you hear the attitude? Do you see the attitude? And Jimmy is just about to get it. Watch Jimmy's face. He's just about to catch on to what Peter Schiff is about to say. Watch this. It's interesting.
Have it for nothing. But, the public wants it for nothing. I mean, that's how these politicians get elected. They promise something for nothing. So they don't want...
So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring you a close-up of Jimmy's face, because it's... it's a little bit hard to watch. But you guys watch Jimmy's face during this interaction right here. It's hard to watch, especially if you're like me and you're a fan of Jimmy Dore's.
Come clean and tell people, look, either we have to cancel all these programs or we have to raise your taxes to pay for them. We're not going to get the money from the billionaires and the millionaires. A, there's not enough of them. And B, they're already paying a lot of taxes. They're not going to pay more. If we raise their taxes, we might actually get less revenue. So the only room to raise taxes is on the middle class, although
the only way to pay for all this is to raise taxes on the middle class. And look at Jimmy's face. This guy is saying the exact opposite of everything that Jimmy Dore stands for. And he doesn't push back. I mean, Jimmy, were you worried that he'd never come on your show again? Were you afraid that he was going to take his mic off and turn off his interview feed with you? I don't understand your inability to call your guests out when they say stupid shit like this. That totally goes against everything that you stand for. Look, Jimmy, I don't mean to come down on you hard for this, because it's a big interview, and this is just one little segment that I'm cherry picking here. It's not fair to you. I know. But at the same time, man, how did that feel, bro? Jimmy, I'm just kind of wondering, how did it feel to have a billionaire on your show tell you that, we don't need to be paying taxes for you middle class. If you middle class want your entitlements, you middle class need to pay for your entitlements, said the entitled billionaire that everybody's just hanging on his every word. Hey, watch Jimmy's response. It keeps going.
class is broke. I don't think the middle class can afford higher taxes either. So we have to cut government spending. But no politician wants to tell anybody that they have to get less Social Security or less Medicare. And of course, we could also cut the defense budget, but for some reason, nobody wants to cut that. Even
finally, Peter Schiff finally said something that Jimmy agreed with, and that's when he lit up. He's like, oh, well, there's an answer. Well, okay, you and I can, at least we can come together there. And now I get it. At this point, now I get it. Maybe you don't need to call someone out on their bullshit. Maybe you just have to wait until they say something that you agree with and then give them positivity for that. It's like with Rogie. I'm making fun of Peter Schiff because he's got terrible anecdotes that he brings along, or do I want to say analogy? Yeah, analogy. He's got these horrible analogies that he uses. He's horrible at making analogies. And but I've got a good one for you. It's like when I'm outside with Rogie, and I want to yell and scream at him and say, "Come now!" If I yell and scream at him and tell him to come now, he won't. He'll just sit there and stare at me. He doesn't respond positively to negativity. Most people don't. So, while I'm a negative guy and I'm always putting the negativity out there at people, I think I get it now, Jimmy. I think I understand why you don't push back on your guests as much as I necessarily might want you to or perceive that you should. Because maybe you're just waiting for that moment, like that moment right there, where he starts making sense and you can give him positive reinforcement, positive feedback, instead of, yelling at Rogie and saying, "Bad doggy, come now," and he won't. I get it. Okay. It makes sense. Jimmy, you are smarter than me. And it took me how many minutes are we in? 8 minutes in. We'll say it took me 8 minutes to come to this conclusion. But I get it. I'm right why Jimmy didn't call him out. Dominic. All right, let's just watch a little bit more, then we can watch the whole thing play out in real time again.
Democrats want to keep spending money on defense. And I don't even call it defense. It's offense. It's warfare. We're wasting so much money. And we're actually, I think, compromising our defense. I think we're weaker.
I think it was really challenging and hard for Jimmy to sit there quietly while this billionaire said he doesn't need to be taxed anymore, that he pays plenty. I think it was hard for him to sit there. But I give him credit because you know what? It opened up that vein by him being quiet. He allowed Peter Schiff to kind of figure it out for himself. I'm looking at this a whole new way because I've watched it more than once now.
We spend so much on defense. I think we'd be safer if we spent less and we had fewer enemies.
Yeah, you're 100% right about that.
About that. You're 100% right about ending the war to bring us some more money. That is how he responded to Peter Schiff saying we need to we shouldn't be taxing billionaires any more than we already do. He's like, you're right about that. And that was it. He doesn't say, well, but you're wrong about the first shit you said about billionaires not needing to be taxed anymore. But I want you guys, it's very important that you hear Peter Schiff try to weasel his way through explaining to you that billionaires don't need to pay more in taxes. Just pay attention to it. Try to listen to his words. See the way he just slides it by you.
What I want to do is tell the
He even slides it by Jimmy, but Jimmy doesn't miss it. Jimmy totally doesn't miss it. He knows better than to say something, I think.
truth to the American public. See, that's the thing. The politicians don't want to, fess up to how badly they screwed up over the years, because they've screwed up, big time.
Right.
We're in a lot of trouble. But Biden doesn't want to level with the American public and say, look, we have got an enormous government. We have all these entitlements, and they cost a lot of money. And you, the voter, you need to pay for this stuff.
I hate that they call them entitlements. It's such a horrible, nasty fucking word. Like you're entitled to something. Stop calling them entitlements. Okay? That would help everybody. Everybody. Okay? These are programs that help the poor. That's all. Stop calling them entitlements. Like, oh, you're a poor person, but you're entitled to get some free food. You're entitled to get some free housing. Hey, Peter Schiff, how about you go fuck yourself, you billionaire cunt motherfucker? Okay, go fuck yourself and stop calling them entitlements. How about, can you do us a favor, you fucking entitled cunt bitch? The only entitled one here is you fucking billionaire piece of fucking cunt shit. Okay, did I make myself clear on all that, everybody? Does everybody understand where I stand on this? And it's hard for me to sit here and watch Jimmy just let this guy railroad him about that. And I know I said we're going to listen to the whole thing in real time. But it's hard, man. I'm trying. Here, we'll try. Well, I'm going to try to run it through in real time. Let's just try this one more time.
They're doing everything they can to destroy it. That's the weird, like, I can see it. Again, if I can see it, they must. That's what I don't understand. But
well, the one thing they don't want to do is tell the truth to the American public. See, that's the thing. The politicians don't want to, fess up to how badly they screwed up over the years, because they've screwed up, big time.
Right.
We're in a lot of trouble. But Biden doesn't want to level with the American public and say, look, we have got an enormous government. We have all these entitlements, and they cost a lot of money. And you, the voter, you need to pay for this stuff. You can't have it for nothing. But, the public wants it for nothing. I mean, that's how these politicians get elected. They promise something for nothing. So they don't want to come clean and tell people, look, either we have to cancel all these programs or we have to raise your taxes to pay for them. We're not going to get the money from the billionaires and the millionaires. A, there's not enough of them. And B, they're already paying a lot of taxes. They're not going to pay more. If we raise their taxes, we might actually get less revenue. So the only room to raise taxes is on the middle class. Although the middle class is broke, I don't think the middle class can afford higher taxes either. So we have to cut government spending. But no politician wants to tell anybody that they have to get less Social Security or less Medicare. And of course, we could also cut the defense budget, but for some reason, nobody wants to cut that. Even the Democrats want to keep spending money on defense. And I don't even call it defense, it's offense. It's warfare. We're wasting so much money, and we're actually, I think, compromising our defense. I think we're weaker because we spend so much on defense. I think we'd be safer if we spent less and we had fewer enemies.
yeah, you're 100% right about that. Yeah, that's for sure. So, we've been doing the opposite of what. First of all, let me ask you. So, I had a professor on the other day, and he said when we had runaway inflation before, Richard Nixon and FDR, FDR instituted rationing, and then Nixon,
Okay, let's go ahead and stop that. Okay. Okay. Let's go like this. So, when we're trying to make progress in a conversation with people, so maybe it might be better to not call them out on every single fucking line of bullshit you hear them say. Maybe Jimmy's learned that, and that's what makes him such a great interviewer. I don't know, man. Because then that allows the conversation to breathe easier. At the same time, I would love for him to come back on his show and address that billionaire comment. I would love for Jimmy to address that billionaire comment. I would love for Jimmy to tweet at Peter Schiff and say, you're wrong on not taxing billionaires anymore. Like, you got it so tough. Like, you can't afford more in taxes. That's fucking laughable. Do you know what this guy pays in taxes? I'm paying over 25%. That motherfucker's paying like 8%. You're like, well, Nate, that guy pays a lot more in taxes than you. Yeah, but not percentage-wise. And, if you're going to be living that high on the hog, hey, man, you could contribute more to society. And that's where I'm at, and that's where Jimmy Dore is at. It's just, I know Peter Schiff is not the gateway to all things political, and by convincing him of anything, it doesn't mean a thing. But he's got this platform with millions of people watching him, and it would have been a good time to bring it up, Billionaire wants tax billions in taxes from the average person. Yeah, from the middle class. They're taxing. Chris, thanks for participating in the chat today. They are trying to draw blood from a frickin' turnip. They're murdering people with this. And Peter Schiff sits there and says, well, maybe they should stop going to foreign wars and they could spend more money on the poors. And I'm like, or maybe we could tax you more, you motherfucking billionaire piece of shit. I assume Peter Schiff is a billionaire. I don't know. I don't know what his net worth is. Because he said us. He said tax us. That's why I'm assuming he's a billionaire. I really don't know. I'm wearing jean shorts today, guys. Okay, Google. Peter Schiff's net worth.
I found these results.
Oh. Dude, he's nowhere near a billionaire. His net worth is $70 million. I've been sitting here calling him a billionaire this whole time. Dude, it takes 1,000 million for a billion. He's got 70. Nowhere near 1,000. Is that the humidity behind you? Yes, it's the humidity dripping off the... Yes, welcome to Florida, son. Welcome to Florida, guys. Yeah, I paid into SSI. Good thing after I hurt my back and doctor said I could not work again. SSI is there. Maybe he needs to live on what we have to live on. Dominic Leo. We all pay in. We all pay our fair share. I'm expected to pay more because I make more money than the average person. My taxes are way higher percentage-wise than Peter Schiff's. Way higher. Happy 420. No law regarding cannabis. Cannabisism, tisms for all. I think you guys missed that as much as I did. I think we brought that back successfully. Cheers. That clown couldn't live off what I bring in, Dominic. Shit, he couldn't live off what I bring in. But he does give some good advice later on in this show, guys. He gives some really good advice. So, wow, he's not a billionaire. So I've been calling him a billionaire this whole time and I was wrong. I swear to fuck he referred to himself as a billionaire, man. He said they need to tax the billionaires like us or something like that. I swear I thought he said that. But I was taking a shower. I must have misunderstood it. I had water in my ear. You know. I had some conditioner in my ear. Anyway, what Peter Schiff says later on in this interview that you should all hear is y'all should be stocking up on things. He said, this is advice that I give to everybody. You know, you can invest in dental floss at this point, he says. You know, and somebody's going to need some, and you'll have it, and it's going to be really expensive. And you'll be able to make money selling it. Products you need to live. Toiletries, cereal, cold, dry storage, canned goods, things that don't take up a lot of space that you can live off of. He said toothpaste, toilet paper, all that stuff. He said, why don't you just go buy a whole bunch of it now? He says, you know you're going to need it. Right? He says, if you've got room in your closet, it should be full of every product that you can afford to buy now because inflation's going to double, triple, quadruple. And those things are going to be so freaking expensive. And if you bought it all right now, you saved yourself a ton of money. It makes total sense. That's what Peter Schiff says in that interview later on. Very important. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. You want to hear it from him, the guy with $70 million, or was it good enough to hear from me, the guy that hits the bongs and makes you laugh sometimes? Hey, I'm making you laugh. Is that good enough? You know, it's funny, you guys, when I was on Twitch, when I had these guys come in from Twitch, I should say, they were just chatting me up and they were saying all kinds of stuff. They were, you know, that was a really good show. We had 60 people watching and they were all talking. You know, they're all talking, saying stuff. It's cool. You guys not talking. Hello. He's been saying stock up now. He's been saying this for a year now. I've been saying it for more than a fucking year, bro. I was talking about that shit before COVID. I told my fucking audience to get ready for anything before COVID happened. I was already storing up rice and shit way more than a year ago, dude. Are you kidding me? Hello. If you're in a Caliana, there we go. Somebody's talking. I have drought-tolerant Anastasi bean seeds that grow anywhere, put away for the apocalypse. What are Anastasi beans? What kind of okay, they're beans. What kind of beans are they? Hi. Yeah, by the way. Hi, Caliana. What kind of beans are they? Are they good? Would be prepared for just about anything if folks listened to you years ago. Nick Brown. Hey, Nick. Yeah. I warned some folks on my show, my little show. It's a little show. You guys want to hear Peter Schiff say it? You know, I asked you guys, just fucking ignore me.
And instituted a price freeze. And that kind of worked. What do you say to that?
Well, it doesn't work.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, you have to understand, inflation is not prices. Inflation is the money supply. Okay. That's what's being inflated, right? If you think about,
we'll skip ahead.
They can come up with all kinds of excuses now that they've, changed the definition of what inflation is.
Okay. Still talking about inflation.
You have to start rationing stuff.
Here we go.
Because
Here we go.
prices are the market's way of rationing, right? You set an actual price where supply and demand meet, and then there's no
37 minutes
shortages.
in
There's
to
no
this
long
Jimmy Dore
lines.
interview,
You know,
guys.
the price, is discovered by the market.
Hey everybody, Carlo, I'm stopping the show because Carlo Densker is coming, everybody, to tell you if you want to get famous, buy viewers, followers, and primes on star.com. Don't forget that address, everybody. They are traditional Native American beans that grow in this area, kind of like pinto and navy bean crossed. Did a price freeze work? I thought it did back in the day. Cannabis heals. I don't know. It's a good question, man. I'm not an economist. I just don't know.
Supply and
Cheers.
demand are in equilibrium. But when the government puts a ceiling on the price, it's out of equilibrium. You get a lot more demand than you have supply. And now you have long lines, and shortages and rationing and all that stuff. But then what ends up happening is you get a black market. Because let's say the government says, okay, the price of an item, let's say a widget, they say that widgets are going to be $5. Well, what if it costs, $10 to make a widget? So you can't actually buy one legally, but people still want them. So maybe there's a black market where you can buy one illegally for $15 or $20. But now, you're buying it, from a criminal. And
Smaller
he's got to
packaging,
charge
right,
an even
Chris?
higher premium because he's risking going to jail, and maybe you risk going to jail.
Crypto dropped all the way down to 21,000 in Bitcoin. Joey Maloney. And it's up to 22. It's gone up to 22. $21,800. It's at 21,800 right now, guys. That's where Bitcoin is.
Buying it, but you need it, and you
Good
really want
question,
it.
Joey
And so
Maloney.
you get this illegal black market that develops in order for people to get around the price control.
Look, you guys, I really like it when you guys chat in my chat. Use the chat to do chat stuff, like chat and things like chatting for chats. If you guys could chat in my chat, that'd be great. That's where it's at. Be in the chat.
And they had all kinds of fancy ways they got around it in the 70s. Like they would come up with new cuts of
That's
meat
this right here,
that
guys. That's
nobody
this-
heard of.
that's
So
this
it didn't
part
exist
of the
before, so
screen.
we could put a whole
This
new price on it because
portion
now it's a brand new product.
screen right
So
here.
they would
That's
have to come
this.
out with things, or that's when when they had those controls. Wage and price controls, that's when the labor unions wanted their health insurance as
That
part of
chat
their
is where
pay
it's at,
because
says
they couldn't
Ducky
get higher
Holland
pay.
Daisy. See, I
so they said,
respond to
okay,
your
just
chats,
cover our
guys.
health insurance. We want health
need you to
insurance
chat, so
because there's a way to get around
I got
the
something to
wage, the
respond
wage
to.
controls. But all kinds of distortions happen. But eventually, the government has to give up, and they take away the controls, and now prices go way up. It's like, you finally...
Mom. Did she leave already? Mom. TV's on in there, bro. Oh. Where is she? I got jean shorts on. Yeah, I'm trying to get you guys getting chatty with it.
a Band-Aid off your skin cancer, and then you notice how much worse it is, right? Because you didn't do anything while you had a Band-Aid on it. And maybe you kept...
You remember I told you he's got the worst analogies of all time? Right here. This is one of them. Dude, it's just so hard to listen to. It's just such a bad analogy, and what he's trying to relate it to is so unrelatable to what the thing is he's trying to say is relatable to. He's like, it's like this. It's like if you're on the moon, but instead of being on the moon, you're like on a moon of like another planet. Okay? But you're in another planet that's in like another solar system. And it's like you're on a flume. It's like you're tobogganing on this moon. It's like that, except like there's flags. And there's like flags, and you're like in a stadium. That's what it's like.
Doing things that made it worse. And that's what happens when the government puts price controls and keeps printing money. It keeps creating inflation, and it's going after the symptoms, and not the cause. It just gets worse and worse and worse.
So that's the Band-Aid.
And so what?
So the
tell
money.
me two things.
So
what should the government be doing now to fix this?
the money that the government spends and prints to make up for it, that's the Band-Aid that you put on the cancer. Great, man. That was great. Highly relatable.
And what can individuals do to insulate themselves from the hurricane?
He's like, I'm hot now, baby. I'm going to take a drink.
Coming.
I'm ready for the next question.
Well, I think it's actually going to be a lot worse than the one Diamond is warning about. But what you have to do as an individual is recognize that inflation is going to destroy the value of your savings, of your paycheck. That's what it does. It's like a tax that you're paying, because the government is financing its spending through inflation. And that tax hits you if you have dollars, if you earn dollars. And so
It's
how
like a
do
tax
you
that you
avoid
pay.
that tax as best you can? And that is, don't hold dollars. Get rid of them as soon as they come into your possession. And so you have two things that you can do with those dollars.
It's like when you possess something. It's like when you possess a car, but it's not a car. It's a boat. It's like when you possess. I'm going to try to say this without laughing. All right. It's like when you possess something. It's like when you possess a car, except it's not a car, it's a boat. It's like that, but it's like on a Thursday.
Go out and spend them on stuff, right, that you may need. And I've been telling people for years, and this advice has been pretty good. I was telling people, a couple years ago to just stock up, to just fill up their closets with stuff, stuff that wouldn't perish. Like go, for your bathroom, get your toothpaste, your deodorant, your shaving cream, your razor blades, mouthwash, whatever you think you need, dental floss. Just
you guys, this guy's a 70 millionaire. He's worth $70 million. He's telling you to stock up on shit like toilet paper and stuff. You should listen to him.
Because it's just going to go way up in price, and you might as well buy it now. I mean, you're going to use it eventually. So if I can buy something today for $1, then in a few years is going to be $5. I made 4 times my money, 5 times my money. I mean, it's hard to do that in the stock market. You could do it in, with your medicine cabinet, but at least you're getting stuff that you're going to use. And I said the same thing about, that toiletries. I mean, like detergents or toilet paper, stuff like that you could store. But then food, canned food or food that you could freeze. I mean, look at how much everything costs. Look at boxes of cereal today. I mean, compared to what it was a year ago. So anybody who just loaded up on stuff has a great return on that. You don't want to save. I mean, there are people now that go shopping every week as they need stuff. Oh, better off go shopping for months in advance, because everything is going to be more expensive every time you go back to the store. But if you've got millions of dollars, I mean, that doesn't work. I mean, if you're the typical family, just saving a little bit of money, yeah, you do that. Don't save any money, just save stuff, because the stuff has real value. But if you're, more substantial, you've got hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. I mean, there's only so much deodorant you can buy, right? I mean, how much are you going to need? I mean, maybe you could even barter it in the future for things that you need, but there's a limit to how much. So now you have to start investing your money. Well, you got to invest your money out of the dollar. So you can't hold any bonds that are in dollars. That's where you'll get completely destroyed. So you don't want to own treasuries, muni bonds, corporate bonds. I mean, you're going to get killed if you own any of those things. They're not safe. They're extremely risky, because that is what gets hit by inflation, because the value of the principal gets destroyed through inflation. So you don't want any bonds. You don't want like a CD. That's really a certificate of depreciation. That's all you're getting, is depreciating currency. So you got to own things or stocks, but I don't like most U.S. stocks because they're too expensive. They're overpriced, and the U.S. economy is a disaster. So that's going to be very bad for a lot of these U.S. companies. So I think it's going to be bad for the stockholders. So what I'm doing personally, what I've been doing, and what I advise my clients to do, or anybody who's listening to this, is invest in a quality portfolio of dividend-paying foreign stocks, good companies, equity.
AC people are not coming today. The guy has COVID.
Oh,
Coming next week.
our AC guy got COVID. Everybody's got COVID.
Telecom.
I swear, I'm gonna
companies,
build this cubicle,
and I'm
natural
never
resource
gonna
like
leave
oil
it.
and
And staying
gas
right here.
or
Or agriculture, tobacco.
It's gonna be like with the
pharmaceutical,
vacuum
I'm buying property
tube,
trusts,
with air coming from outside.
utilities, in countries that I think are in better
Mom, so
relative
Peter Schiff
shape.
is
I mean,
not a
no one's in
billionaire.
great shape. It's all a question of which.
No, he's a 70 millionaire.
What does that mean?
He's got 70 million. He's worth 70 million, not 1,000 million. 1,000 million's a billion,
All
right?
right, so he's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah,
Countries are in the least bad shape.
yeah.
But I want to buy real assets where companies are selling products that people need and that people will pay higher prices to get. Maybe they'll reduce how much they buy, but they'll never eliminate it. You don't want to own stock in companies that are selling stuff that people want, because they can eliminate that. They have to buy what they need. They can give up what they want in order to afford what they need. And more people are going to be giving stuff up. And so I want to invest in the companies that are going to sell the stuff that people have to buy, and they can charge higher prices and pay me higher dividends. But I also own a lot of resources that are going to benefit from inflation. I want to own the companies that have those resources, whether it's.
Hold on a second.
That's a characteristic of
Mom, what he's warning about is if you have the ability to purchase items like toilet paper, toiletries, toothpaste, dental floss, all the things that you know you're going to need in the future, stock up on everything right now. He says it's not going to, inflation's not going to get better ever. He says it's going to keep going up, the price of everything. It's not going to get any better. It's not, nothing's going to relieve it. He's Peter Schiff. He's got $70 million is what he's got. But, do you remember, Mom, do you remember that he's the guy I think that predicted that housing bubble in 2008? Yeah, I think that's who Peter Schiff is. He's like, he knows what's going to happen before it happens.
Oil and gas, industrial materials, metals, including precious metals, but industrial metals, agriculture companies. I want to own those businesses. These are not the kind of businesses that most people have been investing in. They've been buying tech stocks, momentum stocks, meme stocks. All that crap is going to collapse. All that stuff is overpriced. It was part of the bubble, and all that's going to go down. So you don't want to be invested in those bubble stocks when the air is coming out of the bubble. You want to invest in the type of stocks that do well in an inflationary environment, not the environment we had before, which was when they pretended there was no inflation and we had very low interest rates, 0% rates. Rates are going up, but inflation is going up even more, and that's a very different investment landscape. But I do think people will make a lot of money if they get this right, because I think that you have resources that are mispriced. I think investments are mispriced to reflect the fact that so few people seem to really understand what's going on and what's going to happen. Just like, during the housing bubble, when I was initially, shorting subprime, and these subprime mortgages, and they had this one tranche of these collateralized mortgage obligations that was rated triple B. It was the low.
Mom, he didn't just predict the housing bubble, he shorted it. He didn't just predict the housing bubble, he shorted it.
What does that mean?
It means he put money on the fact that he knew those stocks were going to crash, and he made a ton off of as those stocks crashed. He had leverage against the fall of those stocks.
Here, and it took all of the losses of the portfolio first before any other tranches had to deal with losses. And so when I first learned about these securities, in my mind, they were worthless. I said, how can anybody buy these? They're going to get completely wiped out. Yet
I mean,
investors were buying them.
It's one thing to predict something. It's another thing to put your money where your mouth is and make millions of dollars, proving that you were right,
The credit agencies were rating them, and it should have been obvious that they were worthless, but it wasn't obvious. But they were worthless, and they went to zero very quickly once people recognized what they owned. But for a while, there was an opportunity to sell something that was dramatically overpriced because the vast majority of investors were clueless. Well, they're still clueless. They don't understand inflation. They don't understand what's going to happen. And so prices of assets do not reflect what's going to happen. They reflect what a bunch of fools think is going to happen. But when you know that these fools are wrong, you can invest for what actually is going to happen. And because so many people don't understand that, you could do it at very favorable prices. And so I think that not only will investors who do the right thing protect their wealth from inflation, they'll actually increase their wealth. And that's what I'm helping people do.
So here, hopefully you can help answer this question. I've asked several people this. I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer. So
can you repeat? I'm having my
no
earpiece
problem.
is just not, it keeps coming unplugged. I got to get this fixed.
So I travel all around the country and I stay at hotels, 3 or 4 hotels a week. And I notice that they don't have room service, they don't have breakfast service, they don't have maid service, and they say there's a labor shortage. And I'm like, well, where did all these people, did they all get on a ship?
And airplanes only give you peanuts now. You used to be able to get like full meals on airplanes and shit. Are you guys all prepared for quarter of the hour? Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Psst, nobody's even preparing themselves anymore, Palsy. What are you even not doing? You're not doing it. Nobody's even not doing it anymore.
Prepare yourself.
Nobody's even not trying to do that no more, Palsy.
Prepare yourself.
There's a compressor.
Prepare yourself.
Hair compressor.
Glide and take cash in your chips. You sniveling, whining, self-loathing hypocrite. Blame it on Rio or the woman in red.
Volume up.
Don't fool yourself, it's all in your head. You're the mascot of the next century. Look in the mirrors, count insecurity. I bleed for you, my eyes burn. My point is no, cause you'll never learn. You'll never learn. I bleed for you. You'll never learn. I bleed for you. You'll never learn. I bleed.
Elbows. Straight up.
Prepare yourself.
Maximum smashing.
Prepare yourself.
Lying and dying, it's all that you breed. Pull the tip from your mouth on your own feed. Tired of your constant self-pity. Sick of your loathsome little ditty.
Are we
Put
ready?
line and take
Are we
catching
ready?
your tips. You sniveling,
for
whining,
quarter of the
self-loathing
hour?
hypocrite. Blame it on
Cannabis
Rio
and
or
dab
the woman
business
in
for
red.
all. No law regarding cannabis. Cheers, y'all.
It's all in your head. Bleed for you. It's all in your head. Bleed for you. It's all in your head. I bleed for you.
Oh, that was so tasty and delicious. Delicioso, delicioso.
You'll never learn how to be free. It's all in your head. Be free. You'll never learn how to be for you.
All right, let's go back to Peter Schiff.
And go to another country and start working? Of course they're still here. How could there be a labor shortage? And what I'm told, so I always thought the way capitalism worked was if the demand is high for something and the supply is low, the price goes up. So for instance, I know people who own restaurants, right? And so a guy just reopened a restaurant and was closed during COVID, and he's only going to open at half capacity. And I said, why? He says, because I can't get kitchen help. He has 200 people wanting to buy a hamburger, but he can only service 100 of those people because he can't hire more kitchen staff. And I'm like, well, did you raise your wage for your kitchen staff so you can attract more? And no, they'll never do that. And I'm
Well,
like,
the reason they're not doing it is because if they did that, their customers couldn't afford to buy the product. See, they're trying to figure out how not to raise prices to such a degree that they won't lose their customers. So what they're doing is they're cutting back on the service. And that's interesting because, the government always likes to lie, and, they adjust prices because they claim that stuff gets better. So let's say the price of something goes up by 20%. The government, when they do the CPI, they may say, well, it didn't go up.
Daki Hollandaise, how long does it take you to cook 200 hamburgers? Go.
20%. It went down by 5% because it's 25% better. They'll try to claim that the product has been improved somehow. It's faster, it's, whatever it is. And they call it hedonics. But they never seem to adjust for quality degradation. When you get less, they'll measure, how much does it cost to buy an airline ticket? And they'll compare that. It's like, well, yeah, but when I used to buy an airline ticket, my check luggage was included. I got a meal included.
An hour?
I got a pillow. I got a blanket if I wanted one. That was all included. Now, everything is extra. Oh, you want to check bags? Oh, it's extra. Oh, you want to pick your seat? That's extra. You want a meal? That's extra, right? You want a pillow? You got to pay for that too, right? You got to pay for everything. But they just compare the actual price of the ticket without looking at the quality. So now you go to a hotel and, you want maid service? Well, that costs extra. That used to be included. You got into a hotel, it meant that somebody, cleaned your sheets and, washed the bathroom. Now it's like, you want that? That's going to cost more. But all these people who claim there's a labor shortage, there's only a labor shortage because they're not paying enough, right? But why aren't they paying more? Because the customers can't afford it, because they have to make a profit. So if they had to staff up and they had to pay their workers what their workers want in order to come take these jobs, they'd have to raise the price so much that they might go out of business. So they're trying to survive.
Wow.
So okay, that's what I was told. Also, that was the situation right up before FDR came in. That these people were stuck. They couldn't hire people because they needed to raise their wages, but they couldn't raise the price of their thing because people didn't have money in their pocket because the income inequality was so high back then.
Well, actually, it was the opposite. I mean, wages during the Depression era, they were going to come down, and the government this is before Roosevelt, this is Hoover, and Hoover was encouraging companies not to reduce wages, but they needed to reduce wages because prices were falling. Had they reduced wages, the workers would have been fine because everything they needed to buy also became cheaper. But by not cutting wages, effectively wages were going up. So what companies had to do during the 1930s, early in the 30s, because Hoover convinced everybody not to cut wages, so they laid people off instead. That was the only way they could survive, But we would have been better off had they just reduced everybody's wages, because prices dropped by 30 or 40% during the Depression. So if your wages stayed the same, that was like a 30 to 40% raise. why not let the wages go down 30 or 40%? If all the prices went down 30 or 40%, everybody, would be the same. And then nobody would have been fired. But wages were kept artificially high early in the
Hey,
depression.
it's 7:10,
and
everybody.
And the result
Or
was
it's,
a
4:20
big increase in
Newfoundland.
unemployment.
My bad.
Well,
Cheers,
I wish
everybody.
we had more time to talk, and I really appreciate you making time today. So thank you very much. My theory of part of what's happening right now was the mismanagement of the CARES Act, and what they did was they just gave $5 trillion to the richest 1,000 people in the country. It's what it looked like to me. And of course, you're going to get inflation after you inject $5 trillion in cash.
That whole thing was a disaster. Remember, it started under Trump. The paycheck protection, all these bailouts for businesses. I said from the beginning it was just a slush fund. Everybody was going to take all this money. It was the biggest fraud, massive giveaway of money out of thin air. It was a huge mistake. So unfortunately, the Republicans established the precedent for that mistake. Biden just continued it as president. But it's hard to just blame Biden for just doing again what Trump did.
Right.
But it wasn't just Trump. All the Democrats signed on to it.
Yes.
Everybody wanted to give away money during COVID. It was an asinine policy, and we're going to be paying for that for years and years to come for those mistakes. I mean, that's a big reason why we have this inflation. But it started long before then. I mean, we're dealing with the mistakes that go back to QE1, not just the QE4 that we did after COVID. So we have so much inflation in this pipeline. That's why this is just the tip of the iceberg. What we've experienced so far is just a small taste of what we're going to have to swallow when it comes to higher prices.
So, what do you, if they would have just taken that $5 trillion? I know you'll probably disagree with this, but
Hey, you
instead of-
guys, there is a giant upside down head and shoulders on the 24-hour chart. I think Bitcoin's about to break out upwards. Here, look. Here. Look at this camera, right? Look at that upside down head and shoulders, guys. That's on the 24-hour. That's huge. That's going to result in a giant spike upwards. It's going to be at least as high as the head. This is it. This is it. Actually, I think that's almost like a perfect head and shoulders. It's going to be a big breakout upwards, man. It should go up as low as that went. It went down to 20,800. It was at 20,800. God bless America. $891. 20,891. So it should go up like $1,000, man. Bitcoin should go up right now. It should go up $1,000. Dude, it's right now. It says it's at. That can't be right. Yeah, that wasn't right. It says it's at 22.1 right now. It should go up to like 23.1 right now. It should just jump upwards right now. Let's see if it does it. according to my, this is a fucking upside down Head and Shoulders, man. You all saw it. $70 billion worth of lies. Damn chicken Caesar salad costs $22 at the hotel. Mom. When she came. Mom. A chicken Caesar salad a couple of weeks ago at the hotel was $14. Now it's $22. Can you believe that? That's in Tampa.
Listen, I'm getting ready. I'm going to be leaving in a few minutes.
Yes.
I won't be home until around 4-ish.
Right.
The paperwork is right there that has to go to the Springs
Right.
today.
Right.
Okay, you take care of that.
Yes.
For me?
Yes.
I think they open at 9 o'clock.
All right.
The office. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, cool. And it's the exact same salad. Yeah, it's just they're just charging more for it. I got you. Hell yeah. Listen, guys, I'm gonna go. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I will see you guys this afternoon at 4:20 or 1:20 ish, one or the other. Just depends on if I'm working all day or not. What I'm doing, is doing beds, and I'm doing a really good job. But I got a lot more work to do. I think that this Bitcoin is about to shoot upwards off that upside down Head and Shoulders pattern, man. That is huge. That upside, look at this thing, man. It's crazy. Wrong camera. There we go, this one. That camera right there. Look at that upside down Head and Shoulders, man. That is psychotic. That is a psychotic upside down head, and has not been a reaction to it yet, right? It's fucking saying it's gonna go up. That's what that says. So it's at 22,152 right now, dude. It's gonna go to 23,152. It's gonna go up $1,000. It's gonna happen like right now. It's going to be exciting and crazy to watch. That's my prediction. I get the prediction. My fucking flower bed, bro. Dude, look at my flower bed, bro. Those are those two plants right there, those two big ones are two that I planted. Psst. Psst. That one looks like it's a little crooked. It's a little crooked. It's gonna have to grow straight. Looks like it's a little crooked. It'll be fine. So there's all humidity on the window. Bye, Mom. Bye. So there's my beautiful backyard. And dude, I told you at first I said it's gonna be 2 or 3 months, all that sand's gonna be grown in. Dude, it's gonna be 2 or 3 weeks, all that sand's gonna be grown in over there. That beach is gonna be total grass, guys. You can see it's going away. It used to be all white sand over there. It's all going away, man. That grass is growing so fast. Look at that shit, man. Yeah, my umbrella. I should go out there with the towel and wipe off that window. Grab one of these microfibers and wipe off the window. Let me make this full screen. Let's see. You.
I'm sound asleep, and my phone rings in the bedroom. I answer the phone, and it's my niece who's sleeping in this room. She ain't gone. The alarm is going off, and we don't know what to do. I called the gate. The guard came over. Got on the ladder, and got up there and put the battery out. You know what to do when it's when the
Mom, I'm live. My computer's live. So, oh, Mom, I told you, I'm live. Don't talk about this right now. No. Just, Mom, I gotta turn off my show. God, I can't believe you're gonna do this to me. I gotta